everyone, my name is Trinity from Trinity Educational Mission, here to bring you the latest research in education. Many of us have heard that parental stress can affect children, but what if a parent's habits could also be linked to a child's mental health? Today's study asks an important question. What is the relationship between maternal smoking and adolescents' mental health? Most people already know that smoking is harmful to physical health, but fewer people realize that its impacts may extend beyond the lungs and the body and may also be connected to the children's emotional well-being. The study we're looking at today analyzed data from Korean adolescents who participated in the Korea National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey between 2012 and 2017. A total of 2,761 adolescents were included in the analysis. What makes this study particularly interesting is that the researchers didn't just examine whether parents smoked. They also looked at adolescents' stress levels, experiences of depression, and even suicidal thoughts. And they found some important results. Adolescents whose mothers were current smokers were more likely to experience higher levels of stress. They were also more likely to report feelings of depression. And perhaps most concerning, they were more likely to experience suicidal thoughts. The risk became even greater when mothers were both smokers and experiencing high levels of stress. Compared to adolescents whose mothers did not smoke or reported low stress levels, these adolescents showed significantly higher levels of stress, depression, and suicidal ideation. Now it's important to understand what this study is really saying. The researchers were not simply focusing on cigarette smoke itself. What caught their attention was maternal stress. Why might this happen? The researchers suggest several possible explanations. First, a parent's emotional state has a powerful influence on the atmosphere of the home. When parents are under constant stress, children often sense it. In fact, children are usually much better at reading their parents' emotions than we realize. Even when parents don't say anything, children can pick up stress and anxiety through facial expressions, tone of voice, and the overall mood in the household. The researchers also discussed a cultural factor that may be relevant in Korea. In many Korean families, mothers play a central role in parenting. As a result, a mother's emotional well-being and daily habits may have a strong influence on her children. At this point, it's important to avoid a misunderstanding. The study is not saying that mothers who smoke are bad parents. In fact, the findings suggest something much more complex. Smoking is often connected to stress. Many people turn to cigarettes to cope with pressure, anxiety, or emotional burden. In other words, the deeper issue may not be the cigarette itself, but the stress that parents are carrying. So, what can parents do? First, before worrying about your child's mental health, take time to check in on your own mental health. Many parents worry about their children's stress while ignoring their own. But a parent's emotional state affects children more than most people realize. Second, develop healthy ways to manage stress. Exercising, walking, meaningful conversations, hobbies, and adequate sleep are not simply forms of self-care. They may also be part of effective parenting. Third, instead of trying to appear perfect, show your children what it looks like to deal with emotions in healthy ways. You might say, "Mom had a bad day today," or "Dad feels stressed, but I'm trying to handle it in a healthy way." Moments like these become living lessons that teach children how to manage their own emotions. I believe the most important message from this study is this. Children do not learn only from what their parents say. They learn from how their parents live, they watch how parents handle stress and how they face difficulties, and they watch the choices we make during challenging times. This study reminds us of an important truth. Children know more about their parents' stress than we often think. Even when we believe we're hiding it, they can sense it through our expressions, our voices, and the emotional atmosphere at home. So perhaps the greatest influence on a child is not simply what we teach them. Perhaps it's how we live our own lives. Taking care of yourself is the best thing you can do for your child, because a healthy parent may be one of the most powerful educational leaders a child will ever have. If you found today's video helpful, please like and subscribe.